Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, the far right poses a terrorist threat and is being underestimated. These are the words of a former member of an extreme right-wing group who's now working for a government scheme which aims to de-radicalise people. Our Home Affairs correspondent Darshana Soni has been speaking to one young man who was groomed as a schoolboy by extremists.
It was just that massive adrenaline rush, just that unorganised chaos. It was addictive, I'm not going to lie.
3 weeks after the arena bombing that killed 22 people, and the far right descended on Manchester in what they called a march against hate. Among them, a 15-year-old schoolboy on his first demo, which he filmed on his phone.
You get people that are there because they are patriotic, but they're few and far between. You get the people that are just plain racist and neo-Nazis.
Because of his young age, we've agreed not to identify him, so we're calling him Mark. At a time when Britain is seeing a new wave of far-right extremism, he reveals how he was groomed online, how he rose up the ranks, and how he eventually managed to break free.
I grew up in a very small town, very small population, majority white. There's nothing much to do for young people.
A young boy with nothing much to do, all around him gleaming new developments, but they had left his community feeling forgotten.
I was just angry at the world. I wasn't doing well in school. I pretty much knew that I wasn't going to pass my exams. Obviously growing up, school always told you, you don't pass your GCSEs, you're not going to be anything in life, sort of thing. So the anger stemmed from there, really.
So you felt like you weren't going to come to anything, you weren't going to amount to anything?
Yeah.
A sense of helplessness that left him vulnerable to the attention of local extremists. A school friend told him about a group that was offering free transport to rallies. They would often clash with the police and with counter-demonstrations. Amongst the crowds, though, he says, he found a sense of belonging, of brotherhood. He even got to meet one of his online heroes.
So for a young lad to be in that must have been quite an adrenaline rush.
It was. I was actually on the front line for most of it. I held the banner at one point. I met Tommy Robinson that day and I was watching a lot of his videos and I really looked up to him at the time. But yeah, I felt it was like just starstruck, I guess you could say.
Intoxicated by the attention, Mark began spending hours online, joining around 60 far-right groups on Facebook. He describes how groups like Britain First drew him in.
Britain First is a declaration of war against all of the politicians and the traitors that are destroying and betraying our inheritance.
Britain First commonly make posts such as where they say, if you don't think British soldiers should live on the streets, share this post. I think 99% of the population agrees that they do kind of draw you in, they kind of drip feed you this propaganda, and they'll slowly build up this kind of hatred towards Islam.
That hatred towards Islam was expressed in the new chants that he learnt, which viewers may find offensive.
Allah, Allah, who the f*** is Allah? Allah, Allah, who the f*** is Allah?
Mark became a regular at far-right events and says he came to the attention of Paul Golding and Jada Franson. At the time, they were the leaders of Britain First and had gained headlines when Donald Trump retweeted her posts. Mark describes the pride he felt when he received a personal phone call from the couple.
So the leaders of Britain First were ringing you, a young boy, on your phone?
Yeah, it was unreal, how have I gone from a cocky teenager, I guess you could describe me as, on social media, to now speaking to the main leaders in such a small amount of time. They wanted me to be the poster boy, they wanted me to get my friends involved.
Britain First deny Mark's claims, telling us they don't accept membership from anyone under the age of 18. Golding and Franson were later convicted and jailed for an unrelated incident of religiously aggravated hate crime.
I think the far right has been underestimated by quite a lot of people. Yeah.
Nigel Bromage works for the government's Prevent programme as an intervention provider or mentor to young people like Mark who have been radicalised.
The far right's changed absolutely drastically from what it used to be. No longer is the image sort of violent and sort of portraying actually, you know, these are just skinheads or football hooligans. You know, from my own point of view, we mentor people now as young as 14. Yeah.
He showed me the tactics used by extremists online, including video games where points are given for killing immigrants, to invitations to private forums where the recent Christchurch attacks in New Zealand are praised. Mr Bromage is well aware of the tactics used by the far right, as for 20 years he was an active member of groups like Combat 18 and the National Front, the forerunners of the BNP.
There are some people who say that de-radicalisation doesn't work, that you can't change someone's mindset. What do you think?
I think I'm living proof that you can. You know, the people we engage, these people go from populist right supporters who are just angry about ISIS or grooming, through to hardcore neo-Nazis who have been entrenched in their belief for decades. You know, I believe you can actually de-radicalise anybody.
And it was with the help of a mentor that in the end helped Mark leave the far right. After being reported to Prevent by a teacher, he says that for the first time he was given respect and spoken to like an equal.
And I could relate to him, which a lot of other people at the time I couldn't. And the way he spoke to me, you know, he was respectful to me, which I don't think a lot of people were. And he didn't judge me. He understood why, you know, a person from a council estate in a majority white area could get involved. And rather than, you know, telling me to leave, he planted the seed on why I should leave in my head.
The number of far-right referrals to Prevent has risen dramatically. Although the programme has been controversial, Mark says that for him, without it, he believes his anger would have led him down a dangerous path.
Darshana Soni reporting.
Well, any acceptance of a long delay to Brexit comes to where we've just been talking. Strings attached. One of those is likely to be an agreement Britain would contest next month's European elections, perceived by many who voted leave as the ultimate Brexit betrayal. For months we've heard little from UKIP, the party who were victorious last time European elections were fought. Like the other major parties, it too has seen splits and divisions. It's lost support and perhaps most crucially, it lost Nigel Farage, the man who made it what it was. He started his own Brexit party called, you guessed it, the Brexit Party. So how will it fare against UKIP, and how much of the Leave vote could either or both of these parties hoover up if we do contest those European elections? Here's Katie Razzle, a warning her piece does contain some flashing images from the start.
Hey everybody.
For many, it was UKIP under Nigel Farage that brought us the referendum and Brexit itself.
You did it! It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Now his old party has a different leader and some new friends.
So if we're searching for an answer or looking for an answer, it certainly is not the establishment. In my own personal opinion, it's Gerard Bannon.
Farage has left. He's set up a new party, the Brexit Party. With many Leave voters now feeling betrayed by the main parties, who might they trust to represent their views? UKIP or the man who encapsulated it?
Mostyn, Neil Hamilton, UKIP, Make Brexit Happen, 2023.
The recent Welsh by-election may offer an insight. The UKIP candidate was determined to make Newport West all about Brexit. His party didn't make the double-figure gains it used to at its height, but its vote did go up more than 6%.
After the referendum, I think a lot of people thought the UKIP's job was done. It's now perfectly evident that UKIP's job was not completed by getting the referendum result. So it tells us that UKIP's show is back on the rails, and we'll make progress from there.
And in my view, we need to have him in the House of Commons over there so he starts doing his wrecking work over there.
This is why many people, including Nigel Farage, think UKIP has changed.
He is our national hero. He is Tommy Robinson.
Tommy Robinson, real name Stephen Yaxley Lennon, sponsored UKIP's Make Brexit Happen rally in London on the day Britain was due to leave the EU. UKIP's leader Gerard Batten has appointed the controversial former founder of the English Defence League as an advisor. Mr Batten appears focused on an anti-Islam agenda. MEPs have left the party as a result. So too have two UKIP representatives in the Welsh Assembly.
The party changed beyond all recognition. I saw marches in London with Gerard Batten and so on, which I was quite uncomfortable with. I have some Muslim friends and so on, and I felt that it was becoming more like the BNP under his leadership. So I really wanted to distance myself.
Well, there has been no lurch anywhere, left or right. I mean, UKIP is in the same position that it's always been. Our policy
You're
has not
associating with the
changed.
likes of Tommy Robinson.
Well, Tommy Robinson is not a member of UKIP and can't be a member of UKIP because our party rules proscribe him
But
on
he
account of the
sponsors rallies
organisation.
on behalf of UKIP.
If I can just finish the answer. That our party rules proscribe him from membership by virtue of his past associations.
But back to the European elections. In Wales, if Newport West is anything to go by, Labour is for now holding on to enough of its Brexiter votes. But what of Conservative areas where Leave won out in 2016?
UKIP's fortunes in Wiltshire mirror what's gone on across much of the country. The party's support peaked here as pressure mounted ahead of the referendum. But once the country had voted to leave, it fell off dramatically. And in 2017, at the last general election, voters returned to the two main parties.
It's fertile ground for a resurgent UKIP, you might think. Patrick Duffy was chairman of South West Wiltshire Conservatives until very recently. He's disgusted by what he sees as his party's betrayal over Brexit and is thinking of leaving.
I very seriously consider my position in the party. If this goes the wrong way, I will feel not only very let down by what the party's done, but by, I'm afraid, what I see as our failure to have negotiated it properly from the outset. If none of them are able to deliver the result of the referendum, I will be looking for a party who can deliver the result of a referendum. And if that means going down the route of supporting a party who have a single aim, then that's something I'd certainly consider doing.
So would that be the Brexit Party or would that be UKIP?
Given the choice of the two, it would probably be the Brexit Party.
Why is that?
I think for me there's now too much association with UKIP that for me I feel uncomfortable with.
This is how Leave voters told YouGov they'd vote in one recent poll if there were a general election. It suggests about half would vote Conservative and 14% Labour. But this single poll indicates a quarter of Brexiters claim they would now opt for either UKIP or Farage's Brexit Party.
Who is going to become the dominant force? At the moment, in voting intention polls, they're fairly level. Is one of them going to take the lead? Are they going to become the dominant voice of those who sort of want a harder Brexit? And if so, are they going to be able to avoid the other party from splitting their vote share? And I think if they can do that, if they can pull that off successfully, if there is a dominant force that comes out of that, I think they're highly likely to end up winning the European Parliament elections.
So which hard Brexit faction, if any, will win out? Nigel Farage has made a career out of being an insurgent, and his old party has alienated some of its former supporters. But unlike the Brexit Party, UKIP has name recognition and a membership that's used to fighting elections, and that can count for a lot.
That was Katie Razzle.